How's everyone doing? I'm so excited to talk to Senator Booker today. Let me pull it up. Hope everyone's been doing well. Staying safe, staying healthy. Just waiting for Corey to get here, but I think you guys are going to be interested in what we're talking about today and kind of give you more information on what's going on and what we can do leading up to this incredibly important election this November. Waiting to see. I can answer some questions while I'm waiting if anyone has anything to ask. Hi, Derek. Hi, Gregory. And hi, Mine. All right. Thank you, Karina. We're going to be talking about some good stuff today. Just bear with me while we wait to jump on with Corey. I think the last time that I saw Corey,
Hello. I'm good.
uh-oh,
It's
can
so
you
good
see
to be
me?
on with you.
Sorry, I think the connection's being bad. It's so good to be on with you too. How have you been?
I'm really, really well. This though was a highlight of a long day, so I'm excited to talk with you. And I'm a little upset though. We're like doing this every 4 years. We've got to be more frequent.
I know it feels wrong that we're so slow on the draw to see each other more often.
I,
We
I
need to
think
be
we should
doing this more.
I think we should do this. Let's make a date to do this again sometime, in the next 100 days before this campaign gets going. We don't have to
Yes,
talk
please.
to any, we could just text, hop on and have a chat about the issues.
Let's do it. Let's do it. That'd be
Oh, well, and I'm trying to find it. I'm wondering if it's my connection or not. Yeah, because I just lost you there. I Yes, I think this is I think I should need to plop down in my hallway here because I hear you now. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? No. I hear you now. No. Yeah, you went out again. I'm wondering what the heck is. I'm wondering if it's me or you. I'm wondering if you're going to have a. It's not me, Corey. It's not me, Corey. It's you moment. Yeah, this seems better. I'm now outside of my door. I'm in I'm in my staircase now.
Oh, can you see me? Can the people see me too?
I hope so.
Okay.
I'm hearing you a lot better now.
Okay, should we try and do this?
Let's try. We're being made fun of by all the people who are putting comments.
I know. Everyone's saying it's me.
Okay.
Okay. Well, let's just. Oh, it's so not working, is it?
So I'm getting you a little bit better now.
Okay.
But whatever you want to do, we literally, my team knows that this is really exciting to me, so I'm willing to come on anytime you want. And being that I have a feeling you and I keep on unconventional times, we can do early morning, late at night. We can always try again, no matter what you want. Hold on, but people are saying is it working now?
Is it working now? I see some people saying it's working now.
Okay, I'm not moving. I'm sitting in outside of my door here, and just with my feet up.
Watch, I'm gonna have to go outside in a second, and then you're just gonna see me in my backyard with my dogs.
What kind of dogs do you have? I'm a huge animal lover.
My mother lives with me. Bulldog, another French bulldog, and then a miniature pinscher.
That's really great. I'm sort of one of the lead animal guys in this, animal people in the Senate, and do a lot about just protection of all animals.
That's incredible.
So yeah, it's an issue I got to work on a lot as mayor, rescue dogs and the treatment of animals. But in the Senate now, I get to do everything from protecting animals from chemical testing and endangered species. Yeah, so I love being in the Senate. It gives me a chance to have a bigger impact.
Right, exactly. Yeah, be able to put more into place, more protection. Well, if it's working a little bit
how is it
now,
living with your? Yeah, I think this is fine. I'm curious about how living with your mom. I've done that before. Is she like a really great best friend, or is she still mommifying you in ways? How's that work? How's that balance work?
Yeah, I think there's always growing pains when you're younger, and then I think the hope is that once you reach an age, you're able to kind of be best friends. And I think what's really happened, and especially during this quarantine, because I've actually been out of town most of my life. I've been in and out of town a lot, but the
That's great. Wow. Well, my favorite James Baldwin quote is that children are never good at listening to their elders, but they never fail to imitate them. And you must have had a great model. Your mom must be pretty awesome, because obviously you are.
Well, thank you, and likewise. Are you close to your mother?
I am very, very close to my mom. And just like you said, the older you get, the better it is. And my mom moved into this, she lives in Vegas, and she lives in this sort of senior living community. And I love it now. I fly out to see, she's in theater and acting, and I flew out to see her in the play. And I felt like this was like full circle. My mom used to go see me in school plays, and now I'm going to see her. And a couple of years back, she had eye surgery, and I went out to be with her in her recovery, and was forcing her to take her medication. And I'm like, I'm loving this, that the script is flipping, Mom. I'm getting you to take your medicine and everything. So it is wonderful that the universe puts these two souls in connection, and how that relationship can evolve over the years. You're outside now.
That's really great. I mean, I am outside. Can you see me better?
I see you. I see you well, but I'm dying now to see the dog, or one of the dogs. Oh my gosh, so cute.
Is this better? Can you see me a bit better now?
Yeah, I see you a little bit better. Yes.
Okay. Well, I want to jump in and try and ask you a couple of questions while the connection's a little better.
Yeah, please fire away.
Well, for lots of people watching, you know, this might be their very first election. So I wanted to ask you, do you remember the first time that you voted? And what was that like?
I remember it very well. It was 1988. And I
My
was
dogs.
a freshman in college. And it was the primary, the 88 primary. And I voted for Jesse Jackson, who was one of the first major
Wow.
black presidential candidates. Yeah. And it was exciting to me. I really knew the importance of voting and was just, I really was thrilled to get a chance to do that. So knowing Jesse Jackson now, it's kind of a cool thing that the guy I voted for is a guy that actually I can call up and talk to when I need to.
That's incredible.
So yeah, really nice.
That's such a full circle moment, you know, as a kid looking up to someone and then now being in a position where you're able to kind of look to the people that you've looked up to for so long and heed advice from them and be friends with them and kind of have that connection that must feel so powerful and so special.
It really does, but I also kind of get what he was saying back in those days about students. You know, I'm now this middle-aged guy, but I look up to these young people who are leading movements all around our country, from
Right.
from sort of racial reconciliation, the post-George Floyd police accountability, all the way to the Parkland students and those who are leading movements to deal with gun violence, to the
Right.
climate change movement. What's amazing to me is, especially in this most recent moment where I got a chance to write a piece of legislation that would not have been possible if it wasn't for young people marching in the streets.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and so to me, it's this idea that you often when you're young, you don't recognize how powerful you are. And I now see it as a guy who's actually in one of the halls of so-called power, but how dependent we are on the movement makers, the artists of activism that are out there getting it done.
Completely. So what would you, you know, kind of building off of that, what would you say to people in general, but particularly some of the young people right now who might, you know, look at this system and think, my vote doesn't matter. You know, it won't matter if I, you know, whether I'm involved in this election or not. What would you say to them?
Well, first of all, we see clearly, I wouldn't be sitting here right now talking to you as a U.S. Senator because I won elections by just a few dozen votes along my journey. And I actually think it's sometimes a when for some people whose lives depend upon you voting, you know, who are that immigrant in detention, or who are that person on death row, or who is that woman who wants to have access to reproductive care or an abortion. These are things that are all on the ballot, and you may be privileged enough to not face unjust incarceration or to be able to afford to have contraceptive care or all of these issues. But for people on the margin in America who depend upon you voting, it's so important. And look, I had a chance to talk to John Lewis recently, who is my parents' generation.
Thank
Here's
you,
a guy. Is that
Sorry,
mom?
my mom. Yeah, my mom is like,
hey,
this is really. we're just making it happen. But keep going, keep going. I don't want to interrupt you.
I love it. Tell her we were talking about her behind her back.
I will. She's probably watching it on her phone as she helped me with the umbrella.
That's great. That's great.
Oh gosh.
So I just think that it's such a privilege that was fought for, you know, that people literally in this country died for. and to surrender to cynicism about your vote. In many ways, you're being complicit in your own demise, or complicit in the very things that you deplore. The reaction to resistance, the reaction to corruption is not to surrender to it, it's to fight harder against it, and to engage more people in voting.
You know, that's so incredibly well spoken, and something that, kind of jumping off of that, something that has been really in the forefront of my mind lately, and I learned so much about it through Stacey Abrams, and now even in Kentucky's last election, is voter suppression. And I kind of wanted to ask you about that and get information from you about it, and if you can actually explain it a little bit in a quick way to the people watching right now that might not know what it is or how it works. Kind of, what is voter suppression? How does it affect us? Who does it affect the most? And what are some tactics that we can do to fight back?
Well, first of all, I love that you're asking about that, because it's such a real and pressing issue. And I love that you talked to Stacey Abrams, who's one of my heroes. And so very simply, voter suppression is the attempts to make it so difficult to vote that you actually suppress the turnout. You push down the number of people that are voting. And it's old in America. Right. We used to have poll taxes, which is a form of voter suppression. We used to have outright physical intimidation to stop people from voting. But nowadays we see it in very insidious ways, like where they decide to get rid of people from the polls. So you think you're registered to vote, you go to vote and your name's not there. Or they eliminate voting booths. You know, on some college campuses, they get rid of the number of voting booths so the lines are so much longer, because they had the cynical desire to say, well, kids, young people are not going to wait for 3 hours to vote. That's a form of voter suppression. Right. Or they need voter ID laws. And they say, okay, well, a qualifying voter ID, this is what they did in Texas, you can vote with your gun license, but you can't vote with your student ID. And so things like that end up having a disproportionate effect on certain populations and not on others. Well, I think the first thing is to be determined yourself that nothing's going to stop you from voting, and that you're going to go. And if the line is long, you're going to stay on that line, because very possibly somebody could have intentionally made that long line to discourage you. Well, don't let something discourage you. Make a plan when you vote, because a lot of times people end up not voting because they leave it to the last minute. They get there, they've only got 30 minutes to vote, but they have to get to work, and they can't wait. So in your own mind, make sure that you are doing things to help yourself and your circle of friends to vote. But then you said it earlier, one of the things to do is to support those people who are fighting against it. So Stacey Abrams' Operation Fair Fight is what she calls her organization. Is right. Go online, learn more about Fair Fight, and support them. And I don't care if it's just giving them $1 or send some kind of support, or read about the other ways that you can be an activist for voting rights.
Right, exactly. That's so incredibly important coming up. You know, what is some other things that people should do to kind of ready themselves to vote in November?
I think it's educating yourself, because a lot of times we go in to vote and we only know who's running for president, and we don't know the importance of the other seats. I've been there before.
Yeah, same.
Where you're just like, I don't know. Well,
there's a lot of names.
So many of our states, you don't know the names and things like that. So take the time to learn a little bit about what's at stake. I've gone into voting in the past when I was younger, and there's a ballot initiative that I didn't even realize, and worded in a way I wasn't really sure, but then turned out it was a really important ballot initiative. So you usually get a sample ballot in the mail. Make sure you read that. If you don't know who the people are, Google them. But there's something in America that happens, is where you get a drop off. Like, everybody goes in to vote for president, and then suddenly thousands of people don't go down, and that ends up being the difference between a Senate seat or not. And let me tell you, as a guy who serves in the Senate, just as important as the presidency is who controls the United States Senate, because Joe Biden could say all he wants, that I want common sense gun safety, but it's not going to get to the Senate floor if Mitch McConnell doesn't let it go, if the leader of the Senate doesn't let it happen. And so we've got to make sure that we're engaging in this election at every level of the ballot. And most people don't know the issues they might really care about, like money spent on their police department. That's a local issue. Money spent on their schools. That's a local issue. A lot of these issues that
which
the president
majorly
or
impact
United States, so learn about the issues.
Right. No, completely. I mean, that's been a big thing for me. When I first voted, you know, when I turned 18, it was the year that Hillary was running for president. And that was something that was really interesting to me when I cast my first ballot, and I was reading through it, and it's just very, you know, I think some of it is
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And so tell me, you're in California, right? Yeah, so there's a lot going on your ballot this year. A lot of ballot initiatives that are I hear you. Can you hear me? Uh-oh, can you not hear me? Yay! Oh no. Chloe, we can do this again. We can do this again. We're talking about such important issues. So maybe we should try again sometime soon. Okay, I'm totally game to do it again. I'm totally game to do it again. And in the meantime, I'm going to follow you. If you have time on Sunday night, and if you have time, I'm doing a Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm doing a Facebook Live with one of my favorite authors who's writing a lot about the urgencies of the movement on my account. So hopefully you can listen there too. Okay, let me know and we'll get back together.